All right, listener name. You sent over a mountain of stuff about Elon Musk SpaceX Mars. You really want to dig into this, huh?
Definitely a hot topic, and a really fascinating one. The whole idea of becoming a multiplanetary species.
All right.
It's like straight out of science fiction.
Right, like we're living in the future. So let's unpack this. Why Mars? Why is Musk so gung-ho about it?
Well, it's more than just planting a flag and saying we were here first. It's about survival. Really.
You mean like a backup plan if Earth goes kaput?
Exactly. Musk has this whole life insurance for humanity thing going on. He's talked about asteroids, climate change, some unforeseen event that could wipe us out. He sees Mars as an insurance policy, a way to keep humanity going even if the unthinkable happens.
So don't put all your eggs in one planetary basket, so to speak.
Precisely. And that idea has been around for a while. But Musk is one of the few who are actually trying to do something about it.
So what's the grand vision here? A few research labs? Or something a bit more ambitious?
Okay. Musk doesn't do small scale. He's talking about a self-sustaining city, 1 million people on Mars. Imagine that. A whole Martian civilization. It's incredible to even think about.
Talk about a fixer-upper, though, right? Thin atmosphere, freezing temperatures, radiation. Not exactly a welcoming environment.
No, it's going to be incredibly challenging. But that's what makes it so exciting. We're talking about pushing the very limits of human ingenuity.
Yeah, challenging might be an understatement. But okay, so we want to be a two-planet species, hedge our bets against catastrophe. How do we even begin to tackle a project this massive? Where do you even start?
Well, you got to start with the transport, right? Getting to Mars is one thing, but we also need to think about what it takes to actually build a self-sustaining city, and that means getting all the stuff there.
So what, are we talking about like a cosmic U-Haul here?
Think bigger.
Hmm?
This is where SpaceX's Starship comes into play. This is their vision for making interplanetary travel, well, more or less routine.
Okay, hold on, routine. That seems a little optimistic for a trip to another planet, doesn't it?
Well, the key here is that Starship is designed to be fully reusable. And that's a total game changer when it comes to space travel. Think about it. If we had to build a brand new 747 every time we wanted to fly across the Atlantic, nobody would be able to afford a plane ticket.
Okay, now that's an analogy I can get behind. So Starship is basically like the commercial airliner of space travel, except instead of those tiny bags of pretzels, you're snacking on freeze-dried ice cream and tang.
Something like that.
Okay.
But you're getting at the crucial point. Reusability is what makes this whole thing even remotely feasible. Imagine a fleet of starships making regular trips back and forth between Earth and Mars, moving people, equipment, all the supplies you could need. That's the kind of infrastructure you need if you're even going to think about a permanent Martian outpost.
And we're talking about moving a ridiculous amount of stuff, right? I mean, building a city from scratch isn't like assembling some IKEA furniture. Or maybe it is, considering how much Musk loves his first principles thinking.
It's funny you should mention that because that's kind of the idea here. You're essentially taking the basic building blocks of civilization, construction materials, life support, water purification, energy generation, food production, all of it, and figuring out how to pack it all up and ship it millions of miles.
It's almost like trying to fit, I don't know, all of Earth into a few suitcases.
And don't forget about the 1 million people who are going to be living in this Martian city. Even with the engineering marvels of something like Starship, the logistics are mind-boggling.
Yeah, just getting there is a whole other can of worms. We're talking 6 to 9 months each way, crammed into a spaceship, hurtling through the void.
And that's not even considering the psychological impact. Being cooped up in a metal tube for that long, dealing with the stress, the isolation, it's going to take a toll.
They better pack a serious library on that thing. Maybe a whole bunch of those adult coloring books. Okay, so we've touched on the challenges of actually getting to Mars and surviving the journey. But let's say, just for a moment, that SpaceX pulls it off. We've got a Starship sitting pretty on the surface of Mars. Champagne bottles are popped, or maybe those little cans of sparkling juice. What happens next? How do you actually build a civilization on a planet that's basically just a giant, dusty, freezing desert? We'll tackle that right after this break. All right, so picture this. We've touched down on Mars. Our trusty Starship is parked, ready to unload, and we're staring out at, well, a whole lot of red dust. Not exactly a welcoming sight.
Not quite the tropical getaway some folks might be hoping for.
Yeah, not exactly a walk in the park, is it? More like a walk on a very, very harsh and unforgiving alien world. So where do we even begin? What are those first crucial steps to transform this dusty red rock into a place where humans can actually, live?
Survival comes first. Always. Remember that whole thin atmosphere, no breathable air, killer radiation thing? We talked about those. And those problems don't just vanish because we've managed to land a spaceship.
It's not like stepping off a plane in a new city, is it? You can't exactly order an Uber and check into a Martian
It's
hotel.
not yet anyway. But you've hit the nail on the head. That first breath of fresh air, that's going to have to come from somewhere else. Because the Martian atmosphere, it's not exactly what you call life-supporting.
Right, so before we even think about building houses or like starting a Martian vegetable garden, we need to figure out how to breathe.
Precisely. We need a completely self-contained life support system. Something that generates oxygen, scrubs the carbon dioxide, and keeps everything nice and pressurized. Think of those early Martian habitats as like high-tech terrariums,
Yeah.
sealed environments where you can control the temperature, the humidity, the air, everything.
So less about terraforming the whole planet right away, more about creating these little pockets of Earth-like environments.
Exactly. Bubbles of habitability, if you will. And that's where things get really interesting because we're going to have to rely on a very old friend to help us out with this. Biology.
Biology. You mean like plants?
Bingo plants are incredible little oxygen factories. Through photosynthesis, they take in carbon dioxide, which Mars has plenty of, and they release oxygen. So imagine these vast indoor gardens bathed in artificial sunlight, not just producing oxygen, but also growing food.
So, Martian farming, but with grow lamps instead of sunshine. Pretty ingenious.
Necessity is the mother of invention, right? But breathable air and a salad aren't going to build a civilization, are they?
1 million people on Mars, like Musk envisions, that's a whole other level.
Right. You need infrastructure, communication systems, energy production, transportation. You're basically building a society from the ground up, but instead of ground, it's, well, Mars.
It's like the ultimate urban planning project, except your canvas is an entire planet.
Mhm.
And not an especially hospitable one at that. So let's say we figure out the whole surviving on Mars thing. What kind of timeline are we looking at here? Because Musk has thrown out some pretty ambitious dates.
Ambitious might be putting it mildly, even if everything goes perfectly to plan. And let's be real, when does that ever happen in space exploration? Building a city for 1 million people by 2050. That's less than 30 years.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't be packing my bags for Mars just yet?
Probably not today, no. But here's the thing. The fact that we're even having this conversation, that we're seriously considering what it would take to become a multiplanetary species, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It speaks to this incredible human drive to push boundaries, to explore, to see what's beyond the horizon. And who knows, maybe one day our descendants will look back at this moment as the beginning of something truly extraordinary. The moment humanity set its sights on a new home among the stars.
And on that note, folks, we've reached the end of our Martian deep dive. We hope you enjoyed exploring the mind-blowing challenges and incredible potential of Musk's ambitious vision. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep looking up.